Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming. For the next 20 minutes or so, we're going to be talking about gaming companies and IP, which may sound a little bit opaque. But what we're really talking about is how gaming and entertainment are kind of merging in 2015 and beyond. A lot of you will know that Rovio, a big Finnish company, has a little thing called the Angry Birds movie coming out in 2016. Maybe you've heard of it. But that's not the only example of companies that in the gaming world moving into entertainment more broadly. With me, I've got a panel of gentlemen who are pioneering this world. Gents, do you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Sam Lake, creative director at Remedy. We've been around for 20 years making games. Max Payne, Alan Wake, and currently Quantum Break coming out in April.
Hello, I'm Matt McMahon. I'm the head of business development for Seriously Digital Entertainment, and we are a bit more of a startup. Have been around for a little over a year, and our first property is Best Fiends, which is out on the App Store and Google Play, and has been out for about a year now. So we're trying to create a brand digitally and on mobile games. So we'll see.
Moi, Teemu Huuhtanen. I'm the CEO of Next Games, and we've been around for a couple of years. We put out 2 games. You just saw the video of the Walking Dead game, and then we have our own IP, which is Compass Point West.
Gentlemen, I want to start with two equally true, but probably conflicting statements. One is that in 2015, there is no such thing as a strictly gaming-only gaming company anymore. And the second is that all video game movies suck. Why is that?
Making movies is hard. Making games is hard as well. I don't know. Games are becoming more and more mainstream entertainment all along, and somehow it feels natural that different mediums that are mainstream, there are contact points there, and at Remedy we'll look at our games always as entertainment products, and because of that, it feels natural and makes sense to look into other mediums as well. When we are thinking about the new IP, creating a new IP, we are creating an entertainment IP that is game, first and foremost, naturally, because that's what we do, but we are looking for opportunities always for more games and then branching into other mediums as well.
Matt, you are
Yes.
a former studio man and have experience from both sides of this. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how studios and gaming companies have worked together in the past, and maybe how you kind of are trying to change that?
Certainly. So full disclosure, I spent about 10 years at 20th Century Fox on the film and TV studio side, so it was kind of in the belly of the beast a little bit. And what I would say is that nobody sets out to make a bad movie, right? There's just a million compromises along the way. I think that in the past, and this is kind of just one man's opinion, they were much more licenses as opposed to deep co-production relationships. And once you start to hand off your intellectual property, your baby, to somebody else, you do lose a little bit of control. Often that comes because you need the funding to, kind of bank the movie, and with funding comes control, and vice versa. I am curious to see how it goes with obviously the Angry Birds movie, the Ubisoft movies, and now, to your point earlier, Oliver, the Blizzard Activision movies, since it does seem like they'll be retaining a lot more control, producing it themselves, funding it themselves, and that'll allow them hopefully to stay much closer to their brands, their worlds, their IP.
Teemu, your point there have been a lot of famous attempts at making video game movies. I'm thinking particularly of the Halo series, which for a long time was going to be made into a movie. Guillermo del Toro was attached to it. It fell apart. I think it was in development for about 8 years, and they never kind of connected over. The studio didn't know where it wanted to go versus Hollywood, and there was kind of the collaboration aspect fell apart. Talk to us a little bit about your experience of collaborating across industries with The Walking Dead and how that kind of creative process works.
Sure. So first of all, like when we started working with AMC, when we started the discussions, I think we clicked right away. They understood that we love the TV show, we want to respect the TV show, and we told them that we would make a game for the fans of the TV show, not for the general public. And of course, they loved our approach. And in few months, they ended up investing in Next Games, which is really unique when you do deals like this. And they've been just great. Like they take care of the fact that the brand, the Walking Dead brand, is always represented in the right way in the game. And then our responsibility is to really think about what kind of a game it needs to be. So we have definitely like clear roles in the process, and our game has content from the season 6 that everyone's watching right now. You can even watch the videos of the actual TV show in the game, or you'll just find different weapons or venues from the TV show in the game. So it's really integrated with the TV show. So I think that makes the difference, and the fact that AMC gave us enough time to make a good game. And I think why most of the licensed games movies suck is because like they're done in a rush. Like a game suddenly is number one, then the studio guy is thinking that I don't know how long it's going to be number one. We need to put the movie out in a year. Yeah. And that's why and I think it applies to games as well. Like when you take a great IP like a TV show or movie, if you do it in a rush, it's going to suck. So.
Matt, you've talked a little bit in the past about doing Hollywood backwards, or kind of reversing the process with Seriously. So can you explain a little bit to everyone here what you mean by that process, and maybe explain a little bit how it's worked in the past and how you're kind of trying to change things?
Sure. Well, Seriously, we believe something that I think a lot of folks believe, which is that in a world of unlimited content choices, that brands cut through, right? And you can find brands in a lot of different places, whether that's through traditional studios or in other sort of means, and sort of bring it to gaming. Or you can try and create your own, right? And each one has its challenges, and creating your own is certainly not the easiest thing in the world. But ultimately, if we can get it right, and if we can build a brand, it's defensible, it's scalable, it's extensible. And so that's the approach we've taken. But we've sort of said to ourselves, all right, if Hollywood kind of goes about it in one way, we're going to look at it a different way. We're not necessarily going to be setting out to be immediately on the big screen. This is our screen. This is our platform. And our feeling, I think, as a lot of folks in the audience would share, is that this is the most widely distributed media platform on the planet. This is your primary entertainment device for tens of millions of people, hundreds of millions of people around the world. And Hollywood doesn't get that yet, because they're still stuck in either antiquated but very lucrative business models, or just kind of an old school traditional mindset. And so we're trying to, again, do it a bit differently, where if you can create IP on this platform, and you can get to a level of scale and a level of interaction, you can talk directly to your consumer on a daily basis, you can have regular content updates. An Ice Age movie comes out every 3 years. We have a game update that comes out every 3 weeks, and we're certainly not unique in that, but it's a different pace of interaction with your consumer. And then eventually, if you can validate it here, sure, you can go to traditional platforms of Hollywood, but this will always be the core platform, whether it's for the game or whether it's for other kind of interactions with animations or something. And that's a pretty different view of Hollywood. Hollywood looks at these games and looks at this platform as either just a marketing offshoot, something to send a push message about buy a ticket that Friday when the movie comes out, or having been on the licensing side in Hollywood, is a kind of a fun little profit center, but it's not integral to the business. Fantastic, you made a little money licensing the property, but it's not necessarily going to be anything more than the occasional promotional tool, rather than a hub for the brand overall.
Maybe you can talk a little bit to that, because we were talking a little bit about stage, and on the flip side of that argument, you would say that for a gaming company or for a startup who's looking for opportunities to grow their business, then licensing is a great option, because they have huge audiences who are devoted to, and you've got great storytelling, and in the case of The Walking Dead, great opportunities for gameplay, so it seems like a natural fit.
Yeah, so I think everyone knows that it's ridiculously expensive to buy users, so cost per acquisition can be, $10, $20 even. And of course it helps to have a great IP like The Walking Dead, which it actually is the biggest TV drama on the planet right now. So the partnership with AMC and Fox, for that matter, is great, where we can reach all the TV show fans on weekly basis, which is a massive advantage for us, that every week we can remind that there's this game available, or we can talk about the updates. And AMC and The Walking Dead has a huge social media following, like 30 million plus, like Facebook fans and so forth. So, those are ways to reach, the actual people that the game was made for. So obviously it helps us a lot to put a game like this out. And then with this game, we can cross-promote our own IP, which, helps the whole company.
Sam, maybe...
Oliver, just to jump in on that, I think something that was interesting for the last couple of years while I was still at Fox is that the game industry has gotten a lot smarter about the value of different types of Hollywood IP. And to Teemu's point, I think TV shows are far more valuable unless you're grabbing an Avatar or a Star Wars or a really high-end franchise. Because there's only a limited number of movie franchises which are truly ubiquitous that people think about when the movie's not in the theaters. But TV shows, very cyclical. We're talking backstage, but a new episode of TV is almost like a new piece of DLC to that kind of consumer every week. And so it feels like it's a much smarter place to go. And we saw a lot of success with The Simpsons or Family Guy. And so The Walking Dead, it makes a lot of sense. It's a smart move to go TV rather than film.
And not to mention that the quality of TV is really
going
phenomenal.
Through the roof right now, yeah.
Sam, maybe tell people a little bit about your experiences. So for anyone who doesn't know, Remedy is working on Quantum Break, which is your next title, which I think comes out in April, which has a TV live action component at the very core of it. So tell us a little bit about how you went about producing that content, why you went about producing that content, and your biggest learnings of kind of making, using IP in TV and making TV shows versus making video games.
Yeah, so for our game experiences, all of them are set in present-day real world. So we are drawing a lot of inspiration from TV, from pop culture in general. AAA game experience, especially kind of a level-based game experience, in model matches a season of a TV series really well. So there is kind of that's the model that we have been using for our storytelling. A level is kind of a episode. And we have a cliffhanger in the end. So there are a lot of similarities, and we've been using live action along the way. In Alan Wake, we had already a live action episode prequel series. In the fictional world of the game, we have the in-game televisions, and we had live action content there, kind of made up TV series, this kind of matchbox-sized, if you will. And for us, it was a logical progression when we came to Quantum Break. That is something that we are creating for Microsoft Studios to take a step forward, even do something more ambitious. So now Quantum Break is an entertainment experience. It's a fusion of a cinematic story-driven action game and a live action show. So we are, in a way, the show is a feature in the game, and we have live action content. You play through an act of the game, you make a choice in that interactive narrative environment, and then we go into an episode of our live action show, 20 minutes or so, where we have a lot of alternate content, so your choices in the game affect the show that you get. It's a very personalized experience for the gamer. Game, show, then back to the game again, and that's how the whole experience is shaped up. We are mostly focused on the game side, but on the high level, this was part of our vision. We have an LA-based production company working on the show, and obviously a lot of back and forth, a lot of workshopping together involved.
Who retains control in that situation? Because I go back to some of the previous attempts by Hollywood to do some failed franchises, and it does seem like control, particularly creative control, is like a core issue when you're making these things. So maybe can you tell us a little bit more about that process and who's kind of signing off this story point for this episode?
It's been a very, very interesting process and a lot of learnings along the way. This is the first time we are doing something like this. And it's not easy. A lot of challenges, a lot of iteration. In many ways, the production model for a TV series is very different than what we are used to in making a game. In a process of making a game, there is a lot of iteration, a lot of testing and coming back and tweaking things. On the TV side, once the production is rolling, and it's an exception to go back and change something. So finding a way to match these two processes, a lot of work has gone into that. Yeah.
I'm interested if all of three of you think that we've talked about television, we haven't talked about a game like Elite Dangerous, which has spin-off books, and there's more than Hollywood going on, and a big part of this debate is, well, does the gaming industry need Hollywood? The gaming industry is already making more money than Hollywood. Like, everyone's got screens in their hands. There are other kind of digital distribution methods. So is that something we should be aspiring to?
It's actually difficult to hear what you said, but I think I kind of got the question. So a lot of the studios, for example, Lionsgate, who's one of our investors, they're taking gaming really seriously. Like few years back, it used to be that write me the minimum guarantee, give me the check, and play with the IP. And now it's like an integrated part of their business where they're really paying attention in which companies to work with. And they keep investing money into these companies, so they're really seeing it as one of the core businesses of a studio. And I think that change has happened really during the last few years, maybe during the last year. So I think that's a major change regarding how the studios see gaming.
Gentlemen, I think we're out of time, but before we go, I want to ask you a very quick question, which is, next year we've got Assassin's Creed movie, we've got the Warcraft movie, we've got all of these different experiments going on with transmedia storytelling. What is it going to take for people to get this right? And do you think that this time around, kind of we're going to see some traction and we're going to see kind of connected storytelling and connected IP across different industries working better than it has done before?
I think Sam said it, making movies is really difficult. So you need to have the right people, and I think the most important thing is enough time and really care about the IP. That if it's kind of a so-and-so type of adaptation of the IP, it's not going to work out.
I mean, I think that movies based on comic books is a good example of this. If you go back some time, we did have superhero movies, but they were not that good. But these days, looking at what Marvel is doing, and the quality is really high. They're doing awesome stuff on their cinematic universe side. And I think that kind of goes to people who are, these days, the most talented movie makers have a real passion into comic books.
Yeah.
When they were teens, kids, they were reading these comics and they loved them. Yeah. And now these guys are making the movies. So there is soul and there is passion involved, and they get it, and they might want to make it good. And I think that, the same thing, if not already, will be happening with games. We have a generation of really talented people who end up working on movies who are gamers at heart and who love games. And I think that ultimately that is the thing that will give us really high quality game movies.
I think we'll call it a day there. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining me. Please, everyone, give them a big round of applause.
Thank you.